Hi all, good day, хайрлы күн, всем добрый день. Этот стрим будет на английском, in English, ағылшынша. Today with us Madina Abdrakhmanova. She is a data scientist researcher at Institute of Smart Systems and Artificial Intelligence at Nazarbayev University. This is, in my personal opinion, this is the strongest research community, one of the strongest in our geography. They did a lot of famous open source contributions and hardware, software, etc. We are very glad to have you, Madina, with us, and thank you. And I'll let you introduce yourself. Then I will have some questions which you helped me to create. I could help you practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you for the kind words for me and for our community at the Nazarbayev University. So yeah, my name is Madina. I'm a data scientist. I did my undergraduate and graduate degrees in computer science in States, thanks to the Bolashak and the Lab Scholarship. So I'm happy now to kind of give back to the local AI community and developer community overall, hopefully in our region. So I suppose today our topic is that behind the scenes building cool AI models, and especially when we want to build them with different kinds of data like audio, meaning speech, human speech, visual images like faces, or thermal streams like thermal fingerprints of a face. So today we're going to kind of discuss, I think, what are the behind the scenes, building the data sets, building the models, and then what it actually takes for us to make sure that they run well, how much you need to train, and hopefully for the people who are just entering the field of AI or want to learn more about what we do at the Nazarbayev University, it will be quite interesting. So since we are a national, yes.
I have the question about spending. Should I ask it later or now?
Spending of what?
Why is I spending so much effort in creating data sets?
Oh yeah, thank you for the question. So yes, we are part of the national university. It's very important for us to represent the region of Central Asia and Kazakhstan especially, and one of the ways how to do it is to represent through the data. So can you open the slides that I uploaded, the first one?
Done.
This is just a glimpse of the data sets that we developed at SI. We believe in releasing the data in our models publicly, so it could be beneficial for private users, companies who want to build a real product beyond on top of that. So a big chunk of it represents the Kazakh language, which was also extended to other Turkic languages in the region, for Uzbek, and then we also have other works that extended that even beyond Kazakh and Uzbekistan to Tatar and other languages. So that's one part. Another thing is to represent our region is through the faces, through how our people look, how they speak in English, what is our accent, and so on and so forth. Because usually the Asian representation, it consists of Southeast Asian or Chinese descendants, and the Central Asia, even though it's an amazingly huge region, it's underrepresented in terms of how we look. And we have some quite unique features in terms of our eyes, our noses, and etc. So this is why we kind of put effort into developing the data in not only how we speak in terms of our voice, but also fusing with other streams, capturing of how we look, how do we look. So basically, if we talk about in trends in terms of now what is hot in terms of the models, it's the big large language models that could utilize our Kazakh speech corpus and what extends that work, and the multimodal generative models that could utilize our multimodal data set that combine the different streams. So that's kind of our mission. We want to make sure that the data of our region is available there to build meaningful products that could be beneficial for our society, the main goal.
This is amazing. a lot of data sets. So even Uzbek, and it's so cool. So what does it take to build such data sets? Could you elaborate on this more?
Okay, could you go to the next slide? I'm gonna explain it on the example of the data set that we built the first one, and I was kind of the supervisor of the project. So when we were launched at this ISA in 2019, we had this idea that we want to create more data sets because data is the most important ingredients in building AI models, right? So we're speaking faces, we work with people. And one thing you need to understand is that whenever you collect data from real people, you need to take consent, especially because here you can clearly identify what kind of person it is. Maybe someone who is looking at this slide right now could recognize this person, or maybe this person is looking at herself. So we need to take a consent that people are fine with releasing the data publicly to the research community worldwide. And you also need to get approval to do this kind of research. At our university, we have an ethics committee, and I have to apply officially and state what risks are available for the people. For example, this data was collected in controlled lab environments. So I had to explain meticulously what is the protocol of collecting the data, where they're going to be the person, where he or she is going to be sitting, how far is going to be the camera, what is this camera, and so forth and so on. And also, if I want to give them some perks, for example, like in this case, we offered free coffee and chocolate, I had to specify as well, what will I offer to the participants of this research. So, and this is why certain groups prefer not to get involved with human subjects. They crawl data that is available online. For example, a data set that is close to this one is actually Voxelab, which was built based on YouTube videos. That data is already publicly available. You can crawl it, source it, and and this is something that you also should be aware when you release your data. It could be utilized further by the companies to build their products. It's just in this case, we officially invite, we seek for the people that will participate and give us their data, and we take the consent. When we later moved into the online work during the pandemic, our team worked with speech purpose, and my colleagues had to also take a consent from the people who would donating their voice, essentially. So this is just something that you have to keep in mind, that seeing data from human subjects is very I would say there are lots of ethical questions that you have to consider, and there's certain bureaucracy, but it has to be done. For example, if you want to be involved with the medical data and you want to work with some institution that already provides it, and we get requests from all different institutions that want to build data sets and build models from them. And we have to explain that if we take the data from the people, we definitely have to make sure that all confidential information is hidden. And even I, the data scientist, should not know what data I'm working with in terms of what person it is attributed to. And then we further kind of process it. So this is just some of the working with the human subjects. It's not straightforward, and some people just opt to work with the publicly available data like on YouTube or anywhere else.
This is quite detailed. About data versus models, what role do they play in building AI?
So I have another slide that I think contains like the cycle of the machine learning. So with speaking faces, we collected the data, right? We had the people, they came in. It took us, I think, like around 8 months to just collect the data, because we had to look for people, we had to capture them on 2 different days, variability of the same person, right? Because we're going to look differently depending on what condition we are in or what day it is. So that's the first part of the cycle, just gather data. And then comes the boring part. You need to prepare it. Basically, you need to clean it so that you can later work with the data. And every data set that we develop, we make sure that it's very user-friendly, because sometimes you request the data and then you realize it's not fully structured and you're really struggling to understand what are the annotations, the metadata, how to capture the labels you need. Sometimes it's not as straightforward as it is. So really put effort into providing a website for each data set to make sure that it's kind of available for our users, and lots of people download them. And when we work with, yes?
You mentioned labels. Sometimes it's difficult to capture labels. Could you provide some examples from your practice when it was difficult? Any context?
Okay, so for example, this summer, I had summer interns, and we decided to extend the internship program. And we gave them a simple task with understanding a human's ethnicity, age, gender, based on just available facial data sets. And decided to explore other data sets available over internet. We downloaded a few and that were publicly available, but then understanding how to decipher the label, it was different. So sometimes we had to email additionally the authors and ask, okay, so I have this data, thank you very much, it's amazing. I want to utilize it for this particular goal. How should I process the metadata, the annotations you have to achieve this? Is this information available? Sometimes it is not. Sometimes it is outdated if the data was released a long time ago. So this is what it is. So sometimes if you cannot find information, try to reach out to the authors seeking for some help, because it's not very straightforward. Like in our website and Speaking Faces, I had to explicitly state it, what every file name means, every point, like how I get the subject information, the gender, the ethnicity, and so forth and so on. So this is so as you are preparing the data, like you cleaning up, you make sure that you minimize the noise, you discard the data that is corrupted, and then as you are labeling the data set, you need to provide all the annotations correctly. So for example, in our case, we took notes separately on what subject, what was the ID, what was the gender, and then we had to combine it so that our end users could get the information. And that process took around 3 months. We did that over in the beginning of the pandemic, and we spent most of the summer just cleaning data, making sure that all the artifacts are noted, the data is aligned, because with Speaking Faces, we had 3 streams: the audio, thermal faces, thermal images of a person, and visual images. And the images were taken by 2 different sensors. And then you had to make sure that they are kind of aligned, so that if a person, for example, detection of faces for visual images, the normal ones that you see us now, are very well developed. But for thermal, it is not. So if the images are aligned, meaning the face is located at the same place, then it's easy. You use you map the detection, the bounding box of the face, the visual images, to the thermal pair, and you get your region of interest. And based on that, you can further train a model to detect thermal faces, for example. Or you want to do something different. You want to, for example, translate from one domain to another. So this is why we put so much effort into aligning, because many data sets that combined visual images, different kind of stream, either depth, thermal, or something else, in many cases, the faces were not aligned. So it was hard for people to develop methods for those minority kind of groups of sensors, because, so you prepare the data to your end use, you structure it as you want. So for example, you can split it into the train, test, validation sets. You try to make sure that your distribution is more or less the same in both, but there should be no data leakage. Whatever it is trained on, it should not see when it is validated or tested on. So this is the golden rule of machine learning. You analyze data to see what are the patterns. So you're kind of aware, because later when you train and you test and you see what are the results, understanding your data could help understand the results as well. Maybe there's certain bias. Can you go back, please? And now we get into the training stage. And as you can see, like whenever we talk about AI, we think about models like ChatGPT, DALL-E, or ImageN of Google, and so forth and so on, right? But this is only like, especially in this diagram, it's only 1/8 of the whole machine learning process. And so suppose you found the model and we release our model. The code is, the data is usually hosted by Dropbox. The code is usually uploaded to the GitHub with a pre-trained model. So our users can download, for example, we did a translator from thermal to visual, from visual to thermal stream, or you want to use our models for Kazakh language, you can download them as well. But if you want something else, you go to some platforms like Hugging Face or PyTorch and you download pre-trained models. And then you need to train it, right? You spend the time on tuning the parameters, adapting it to your needs, adapting to the new domain that you have. You test it and you deploy it. So the models, so you first work with the data, you prepare it to the model that you have selected, you train it, and then you use the results. So these are two different things, very important ingredients in machine learning, but for some reason people kind of confuse it. That's what we learned.
Great point about these pre-trained models. You mentioned Hugging Face. In Google Cloud, there are also so-called model garden. They call it foundational models, Palm, BERT, etc. What do you think about the approach to take these foundational models and adapt them? Or I just frame the question differently because I don't know the Hugging Face. What is on Hugging Face? Is it also the foundational models or they're just not adaptable?
Hugging Face also has lots of pre-trained models that you could download. You can apply it, if it's already developed for some classification or regression problem that aligns with your goals, then you can just use it. But if you want to adapt it to your, you can also download it. You can fine tune it or train it from scratch and work further with it. So yes, there are lots of, so kind of to start easy because so many things are already developed for you. So you can get the data from somewhere, you can get the model from the Google Garden, or from Hugging Face, or from PyTorch, and you can take these two ingredients and go forward to accomplish your needs and goals to build your product.
Thank you. Question, by the way, guys, those who are watching, you can type your question to the chat. We will then put it here and Madina could answer it. The question about the computational power, about infrastructure, because probably Nazarbayev University has a really good infrastructure. Not everybody has it. Maybe, but some people say cloud is enough. Could you share your thoughts on this?
Yes, so we're getting now to the third important ingredient to build AI models. Just train it. We need the hardware, right? Because it's the models are not training on are not growing on the trees. We need to build, host it somewhere, and train and deploy. And that's what is 5, 6, 7 stages of this life cycle. So if we go to the next slide, I'm just going to give a glimpse of what we have at the site. So this is basically the photo of our hardware, the photo of our colleagues that we're really happy to get our first hardware. And for our Central Asian colleagues, it might look impressive. We have DGX machines that are kind of the de facto standard for AI research. And we are getting even more getting more equipment, because now the amount of data we are operating with is growing, especially now as we're going to the large language models and other multimodal models. So we are adding new servers, new storage to make sure that it can handle all the load of our training. But if we compare it with other universities, we see that what we have is just a small thing compared to others. And they are able to handle even a greater number of researchers. Our computational resources, they handle our needs, the needs of NU community, and some of the other Kazakhstan universities like Kaznu. They also have access to our servers. But at the same time, we get lots of requests from startups or other institutions, and even with the new hardware to optimize the workload management and extended storage, we will not be able to handle their needs. And even for some of the interns we had in the summer, for example, with the summer interns from high school, we send them to Google Colab. We're really thankful that there is this resource for them to use. Use just the version, which is usually just $10. And since they trained simple convolutional neural networks like ResNet 1834, for them it was fine. It was more
Google Colab.
train the models. Yes, so it's really, and when I was a student, really, I had no access to, I was not part of the lab in the first year of my master's in California. So I on this open source, open to public resources. And at that moment, it was only Google Colab. Now, I think you guys also have kind of alternatives like Kel and some other ways to run your notebooks. But Google Colab really played an important pivotal role. So thanks to that. But yes.
I have
question?
Just for understanding. So in ESI, you have 8 DGX and 9 Dell servers, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And link copying, Sweden 60. So basically, 6 times less than. Although you are best, I mean, for Central Asia, you're the biggest lab. And just one more question. You mentioned a researcher from Kaznu, Kazakh National University. He can use your computational power. This person should fly physically to your server room, right? Or can this researcher do it remotely?
Yes. At first, the servers were available only to the side of the university network. When we moved into the pandemic mode, we had to adapt. All of us had to work from home. Some people, sometimes the home could be in Almaty, where the servers are in Astana. So we developed the remote access. So you do it as with any servers, you connect through SSH and you get access and you work with it, you send the job is trained, you get the results, you analyze them. So yes, first of all, you need to get the approval. And once you're given the credentials, you connect wherever on Earth you are and work with our servers.
So if I have old small notebook, I can just get approval, connect via FTP, send over the files, and launch it remotely. And you also mentioned about California, your master's degree, because we didn't talk about this. I don't know if you want to talk about it later. Just interesting. Where did your master's do? What was your major during master's degree?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. We could talk about next. So if we go back to the resources, my related experience from that would be that. Can you go to the last? For some reason, we got back to the slide on the data sets. Can you go back to the resources, to the last one? Thank you. So basically, this is what is handling the academia research in Kazakhstan. But if we want to extend it beyond that, we need something else. And right now, it is important for us to explain others, like in the government and in the private business, that if we want to really build AI products in Kazakhstan or in Central Asia, our governments, our big companies need to invest into this infrastructure, because we so much requests from startups to run the models on our resources. I'm right now in Almaty, and I've been talking to some other startups and people who just are about AI, and they have amazing ideas that are quite approachable. You can build them. I mean, like, you can solve these problems using AI, but then I asked them, okay, you got the data, you have an idea where you can find the model. There are also people who are able to work with them. That's the human resource. But where are you going to train it? And that's when they start thinking about the deployment and all of those hard questions, because they work with the hardware. And the only available solution is through cloud. It could be Amazon W Services or something from Microsoft Azure, but that's it. And we analyzed what is the cost of training large models used online versus to our service. And of course, it is much, meaning if we estimate how much money we invested into our infrastructure and how much we would have to pay the online services, we could clearly see that investing into our own infrastructure was a much smarter move. But we were lucky. We're an institution. We are supported by the government, by the university administration to build it. But what about other startups and enthusiasts who want to do it? Because the global trend shows that most of the AI research right now and the big chunk of the publications in world-class journals and conferences are done by the big companies like Google, Facebook, OpenAI, Microsoft, and so forth and so on, and maybe some other smaller ones. But these institutions, they have access to this hardware. Their employees have access to it. They can build because they have somewhere to train and deploy it. And that our people are missing. We have an amazing crowd of developers all over the region of Central Asia. And what they really need is the last ingredient is the hardware resource. They can find data, they can collect and they can clean the data, they can take it from us, they can take it over the internet from other collaborators. They could download the models from Google Garden or Hugging Face, and they could build a prototype and train it a bit, maybe on Google Colab, on Azure. But if they really want to go serious about it, they really need to think, can they handle the amount of money that it requires? Because those big, large language models and the multimodal models like DALL-E or Stable Diffusion, they have like billions of parameters. And if we take a look at how much they cost to train, now it gets to around $1 million, around $1 million. It can go way beyond $1 million, like 15, 10. That's a huge sum of money, right? So, and not everyone has it. And I hope really that big companies that are local to our Central Asian region, to Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan or any other country, can really think about it, what local resources that they want to provide to the local developers so they can build the products. Because we're really we're really thankful to all the data set that Google releases, the models has, the support it gives to the developers through Google Colab and other services. But if you want to go serious and build products that are applicable and useful for our local, we need some local support as well, especially through the data centers and hardware and so on and so forth. So I really hope we'll have this hybrid, we'll have options. Right now, the option they have is to go online. And I hope that it will not be the only one for the next 5 years, because they're really pivotal for the development of AI overall. So that's basically my pitch to everyone who's looking. Please convince your administrators and government to invest more, not only in supporting the human resources, providing grants, learn about AI, scholarships to universities to study local or abroad, to invite all of the summer schools, invite experienced developers from Google or some other companies, but also really think about where we're going to work virtually. right?
This is quite new thought. I don't think the policymakers in Kazakhstan they think about this kind of problems, and also academic world likewise, because each university kind of on their own, and so it's quite
Yes.
revolutionary. Thank you for proposing it to discuss. Before, actually, some people typed questions, and Ahtan typed.
Okay.
So he says, "Hi everyone, I'm going to use AI ML for startup. What you recommend to start with? The startup is sustainability marketplace. I think AI would be great to help my sellers to advertise their goods and services, translate from Russian to Kazakh, while write promotional materials and edit pictures." Yeah, so this is a
Okay.
product. Wow, super difficult question just to
That's
answer.
there are a lot of sub questions in the question. Okay, so let me kind
That's
of
free advice, right?
take it piece by piece. So sustainability marketplace. That's a very interesting term. Like Oskar, what do you think that means, sustainability marketplace?
Probably some organic goods, something like wooden products from wood, I think.
Okay, and I
Crafts.
believe that this person wants to use artificial intelligence to help the sellers to advertise their goods and services. Well, in terms of translating from Russian to Kazakh, I believe that Google has a very nice API. They invested a lot into translating from Russian to Kazakh. But if, for example, you have input that, like, for example, you want to simplify the input of your users and they want to send requests at what they're looking for, or you want to simplify the input from your team, so input data, like you could use those to kind of translate speech to text, because like if you want to work with Kazakh specifically. But I believe Google has really nice API to translate, so you could take that component that was already provided for you. And then, I mean, it would be interesting to learn more what they mean by helping sellers to advertise the goods and services. What do you think, Oskar, that means? Like, how
I
would
think
you
it's just a
advertise?
recommendation engine. It's just some recommendation engine.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, I think it's quite a lot of already proprietary algorithms to do this. It's not necessarily even AI. It could be market basket.
Yes. And this is something important to understand, right? Because AI is not an answer to everything. It's not a magic wand that answers your question. Sometimes, and as we discussed, AI is very kind of expensive if you really want to go on a large scale. But as Oskar pointed out, there could be already algorithms that could be used. It's just sometimes it could be based on some open source solution, or it could be proprietary that is used by Google or some other company, because essentially Google is very big in advertisement, right? To help business leaders to become sustainable. I think I'm going to answer this question in general. Maybe if the person wants to talk about this later, we could discuss it. But overall, you really need to understand what problem you're trying to solve, right? Because this is a very general question. How would you help to become more sustainable? What exactly is the task to make it sustainable? Because AI is the tool. Once you realize what problem you're trying to solve, what is the subtask of that goal, then about the methods. And the methods could be either some algorithms that Oskar mentioned, or it could be some AI tool that generates some data point that classifies it or tries to estimate a specific value. But that's the main thing. You need to understand how to use AI. AI is a method. It's not a magic wand. Once you figure out what is the task you're trying to solve, then you basically can Google how to solve it and what would be the good point. But maybe AI is the guide to solve it. Maybe it's not. So I would start with that, figuring out what is the task that you're trying to solve using basically computational kind of resources. Okay. I actually know that guy, Anwar. He was my student when I was a teaching assistant at Nazarbayev University. So it's very nice to see a familiar face. Thank you, Anwar, for your question. What are third directions on the project related to the language NLP systems? So this is actually important to realize that there is natural language processing and there is also speech systems. And right now they're so tangled between each other because we translate the voice from the text, we analyze the text further, we work with the voice. Regarding Kazakh, I'm not a part of the team that works on that. I'm part of the multimodal team. That's why I gave an example of the speaking faces. But I believe that working specifically on the peculiarities of our region, there's certain specifics to the Kazakh language of how we identify a family, how we identify certain things. So what they're trying to focus after just digitizing the whole thing is to look for those things that really make Kazakh language to stand up, or that makes it so different from others, from our culture. But it's an interesting question. Hopefully we could get a person from that team and they could answer it more in more detail. Stay tuned to our Instagram. Okay, now I'm going to promote our Instagram of our institute. Please go to Isai and EDU KZ to Instagram. And if you follow that, you'll get all the news on what the guys are going to do next. And we'll see what they come up with. Okay, so we got some really nice comments, right?
Yeah, so Mehmet, he is my friend. He actually even helped to proofread one academic paper a while ago to Turkish language. And I sent him when they started and you shared this slide with language models. I texted him that might be interested. He actually thought he might be interested to go attend Kazakhstan in autumn, but I don't know, it's up still, just he discussing. Maybe you could collaborate because he is
that would be nice.
He's researching actually Turkic language whole. This is from Yakutia, Sakha Republic, and others. And same researcher is Iskander Akhmetov. I think he's also doing something close in Almaty. So it's good to have such a community. Yeah, but since no questions, I still had one question you didn't answer. Could you tell about your California research master's degree? How was it? What university was it? Maybe someone wants to go to master's degree now, and it would be helpful. Your opinion.
Yeah. So first of all, I did my undergraduate degree in the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. It's UIC, located in the state of Illinois near Chicago, and I got it funded with the Bolashek scholarship. Then I came to Nazarbayev University following the contract because I need to pay back the 5 years. And when I was working there, I was just part of the CS department. I wasn't really thinking about AI because I finished my undergraduate in 2014 and deep learning was just getting popular. Before that, it was about different things, hot in the computer science. And then I was, as a teaching assistant, I was working with the students like Anwar. And in my third year, I started getting more involved with robotics and the soft side of building those systems and working with simple machine learning algorithms like support vector machines. And that really inspired me to go further in AI. And my university paid then for my master's degree. And I was really looking I wasn't sure whether I want to do a PhD. I definitely understood that I need to gain more knowledge and I want to school. And that's why I was looking for the 2-year program specifically in the United States that has a thesis part, because I wanted to take courses, but I also want to take a glimpse of research in an institution. So I was looking for those. And if you're looking for master's degrees right now in States, you need to understand that there are two types: a professional program, less only 1 year or a year and a half, and they're also thesis based. That program is a part of like the courses you take, they're shared with PhD students, so you get a glimpse of this academic life whether you want to pursue or not. And there is only a small number of universities that offer that program. And I was thinking I wanted to live in California. I spent 5 years in the middle of cornfields with very harsh weather, similar to Astana. And I wanted to spend more time in the sunshine. And I knew there are so many strong universities in California. I looked at the programs that offer the 2 years. I looked at the departments, the courses that they provide. I asked people who attended the University of California, specifically Irvine, and I was able to get good reviews that it's indeed nice university. It's a small one, not as big as Berkeley, but the CS department specifically has a strong number of people focused on different kinds of AI, whether it's probabilistic models, machine learning, statistics, or deep learning and generative models. So there was a very nice critical mass of the people with strong experience. And I decided to join. I applied for different schools. California was the one in Irvine. I spent 2 years there. I did my thesis focused on probabilistic machine learning. And after that, I realized that definitely this is what I want to do next. I want to spend my time building AI models, whether it's machine learning or deep learning. I enjoy working with data. No matter how tedious and cumbersome it is, I do enjoy it. And I still had 2 more years to give back. And working at the National University, a national institution focused on AI, helping students to learn this field and pass my knowledge. This is what I decided to do. And that's how I spend the time in California.
Thank you. This is amazing. Actually, very insightful talk. And last question from Mehmet. Has there been attempt to treat post positions, ablative, locative, etc.? I don't understand what does it mean, as element of syntax tree rather than treating as a part of word like men, atom.
Well, unfortunately, I won't be able to provide a good answer to that because I'm not a part of the team that works on the large language models. I'm the part of the multimodal and computer vision division in our institution. But please, Mehmet, maybe we could continue this conversation beyond this stream. I could connect you to the right people, and we could continue the conversation because you raised the right questions, and hopefully the guys could answer you. And if you can travel and visit Kazakhstan, we're waiting for you in Astana. Our semester starts in August, so it will be in full bloom, and hopefully we could meet him in person and discuss all of his.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Indeed, we have
Orange County is amazing. It is amazing. It is quite nice. I agree.
I also worked in Orange County as a security guard as a student many years. Not Orange County, sorry, LA.
Orange, LA.
Yes, I passed near Orange County many years ago. Sorry for off topic. Contacts of Madina, LinkedIn attached to this video. Feel free to contact. Thank you, Madina, for investing your expensive time for our meetup. And everybody, we wish a great summer. I'm now in the super hot summer country dying. Hopefully in your places it's much better. And wish you good luck. Bye-bye. Thank you, Madina.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you very much.